Brothers and sisters, in The Guardian, a British newspaper, there is a fascinating article. "The computer will see you now." Subtitled, "Is your therapy session about to be automated?" It begins by noting, in just a few years, your visit to the psychiatrist's office could look very different. Your doctor could benefit by having computers analyze recorded interactions with you, including subtle changes in your behavior and the way you talk. Then it goes on to quote an expert who says, "I think, without question, having access to quantitative data about our conversations, about facial expressions and intonations would provide another dimension to the clinical interaction that's not detected right now." And this is a quote from Daniel Barron, a psychiatrist based in Seattle, and author of the new book, Reading Our Minds, The Rise of Big Data Psychiatry. This comes as no surprise. Modern medicine tries so hard to reduce a human being to a set of symptoms. These are then suppressed by drugs. 20 years ago, the words chemical imbalance were bantered around. It sounded so scientific. Chemical imbalance, after all, it's measurable, it's quantifiable, it's precise. Depression, anxiety, rage, all are a matter of chemical imbalance. Reminds us of what happens when you ask a college kid, "Why are we here? Where do we come from?" The answer will invariably be Darwin. In the same way, if you ask why the lockdowns, the social distancing, the face masks, the inevitable answer will be the science. And to our way of thinking, chemical imbalance, Darwin, and the science have become species of idolatry. It seems embedded in this human race is a tendency to worship idols, to worship things made of metal, wood, or stone without substance. And we, humans, imbue them with life. The science, how we have enthroned it to control every aspect of our being, the science. But back to psychiatry. Let's contrast it with the approach that rose from Sigmund Freud. In a treatise by one of his most brilliant students, we are told of 3 different layers of the biopsychic structure. On the surface, there's the personality of a human being. The average man is polite, compassionate, responsible, and conscientious. And then there's a second layer below the superficial layer of appearances. And in that second layer is the domain of sadism, lasciviousness, rapaciousness, and cruelty and brutality. It represents the Freudian unconscious, or what is repressed. And we spend so much energy and so much time repressing that secondary layer. And then, if one penetrates through the second layer, what does one find but a biologic stratum? This is the third, the deepest layer, the core. And at this core, man is essentially forthright, honest, hard-working, industrious, cooperative, loving, and kind. And it's not at all possible to bring about to penetrate to the deepest layer, the biologic core, without going through the first non-genuine spurious social layer, and then below that is the layer of sadistic, brutal, and cruel impulses. And all of this can be done and is done every day in a therapeutic setting under the direction of a trained bioenergetic or biodynamic therapist. So much energy is spent, as I say, in repressing the secondary layer of cruelty and sadism. And tragically enough, it bursts out all too often, as the daily headlines proclaim. If only we could operate from our cores. This is the task of a therapist, to loosen the armoring. What a magnificent enterprise. Contrasted with chemical psychiatry, which is devoted only to suppressing symptoms with dangerous drugs. What would the world be like, brothers and sisters, in which people were operating from their energetic cores? Well, there are there are 4 universes that we've got to get back to. And the first is nature. We've got to get back to our nature, then to ourselves, then to work, and then to our brothers and sisters. 4 great realms of interaction. Getting back to nature, as we've advocated time and time again, might involve growing as much of the food as possible that we eat. Agriculture is, after all, the original occupation. And people would be filled with a sense of wonder and awe by watching the miracle of lettuce, kale, and celery seeds germinate and grow into living plants, living viable plants. And of course, if you read the pages of your newspaper, like on the front page of today's Wall Street the Wall Street Journal, the words jumped off saying that inflation of basic commodities used in factories, of basic commodities, the inflation is soaring. We've been saying this time and time after again, and it's only the beginning. So apart from all of this about getting back to nature, there are very good reasons, brothers and sisters, for you to get back and to plant a victory garden and to start now, immediately. Then there's getting back to self. Getting back, penetrating through the first superficial layer of personality, of just being nice, to penetrate through the second layer of sadism and brutality, and get back to our living cores and operate from our core. And then there's the third realm. That's the realm of work. We hear time and time again where we have reached the stage where we can do anything we can imagine. We can do it. I see a world in which work, the drudgery of work, is replaced by playful creativity. People will want to work. People will look forward to working as an integral, essential part of their lives. And so it should be. Work replaced by playful, joyous creativity. And then there's the fourth realm, our relation with others. And we should be communing with our brothers and sisters long before the virus. We've had social distancing. And I ask you, how much more isolated, how much more atomized, how much more remote can we get from one another? It's time, brothers and sisters, to return. It's time to return. So let's start that victory garden now. And by the way, with the seasons flashing, that kale, lettuce, chard, and celery that you're going to be planting now will afford you plants all winter long. So start those seeds right now. And we plant. We plant with the certainty that you will lead us through. Just as your forebears, the greatest generation, saved the world from tyranny, so too you will lead us from renewal to regeneration to redemption. Brothers and sisters, we will yet build here a garden for the American spirit. Thank you. It's been my privilege to share a few thoughts.